He's our late game tonight. We got Trailblazers, we got Lakers. We know what's on the line there. What's the latest?
Yeah, look, listen, LeBron James and the Lakers are becoming resigned to the fact that he's going to have to play with discomfort for the rest of the season. They don't have time to get this ankle back to 100%. He probably came back too soon last week. He saw his team taking on losses. He wanted to come back and help, and he was unable, I was told, to really be able to explode off that ankle, to make hard cuts. He's stepped away again now, missed the back-to-back games. They've got Phoenix Sunday, the Knicks Tuesday. Unclear whether he's going to come back there. But for LeBron James and the Lakers, listen, they're trying to get him as much rest as they can, but that high ankle sprain is going to continue to be an issue in the playoffs. He's probably not going to be 100%. I think there's even more of a burden now on Anthony Davis to carry a bigger load with LA.
Yeah, and we saw him going out with back spasms, was only able to play 9 minutes, but the Lakers are 9-14 without LeBron James on the court. Again, you will see the Lakers tonight at 10 Eastern against the Portland Trailblazers. Should be a good one. There will be fans in the building. And the good news is, Jay, hey, look, you're back just in time. We're calling it the play-in party because we're trying to figure out who's going to end up in the play-in tournament. And since we got Celtics and Bulls coming your way, let's take a look at the Eastern standings because, again, with just 1 week left, that means just about 6 games left for every single team. It's still packed in the East. Teams 4 through 7 are separated by just 2 games, and right now the Celtics are 6th, but they have the same record as the Heat, and both of those teams are looking to avoid the play-in tournament. Obviously, you're trying to stay above 7. 7 through 10 are going to be in the play-in tournament. That's not where you want to be. The ESPN BPI gives the Celtics a 28% chance of making that play-in tournament. Jay, Will, since you're back for the first time like you never left, let's start with you. Yeah, absolutely. And tell us whether or not you believe the Celtics will find themselves in that play-in tournament by the time we get to the end of the season.
Potentially, but the bigger question for me is, will the Celtics actually find themselves? Who are the Celtics? That's the question we need to be asking ourselves, because I feel like this team has missed their window. I really do. I mean, the Knicks have gotten exponentially better. Look what's happening with the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, they have a dominant threesome that's going to be there for a while if they hold form. Look what's happening. Philadelphia has gotten exponentially better. This Celtics team was supposed to be the team. And if it's injuries around Kemba Walker, they play ISO basketball. They're always coming back from games. They lose leads. They're always playing in deficits. It doesn't feel like it's clicking for the Celtics the way we thought it should be clicking. I think Danny Ainge needs to make some changes.
Not a championship contending team. I agree with you as far as missing that window. They had an opportunity to cash in all of those assets. I think they didn't do it and go after another all-NBA caliber player. But here's what I will state, Jay. It's actually not time for doom and gloom because Kemba Walker just had 30 recently. Fournier's averaging 19 and a half the last 2 games. And when they get into the play-in, I'm not picking them against one of the top teams. However, it's not going to be a sweep because if you really look at the core of the Boston Celtics with Tatum and Brown and Smart, like, they're really good, and they're going to be able to match up with anybody on the perimeter.
Fournier shooting 67% from the field and 58% from 3 in those 2 games that you're mentioning. So obviously, if he continues to progress in that way, then the Celtics can be at least contenders. But let's talk about other teams that you're watching in the East. And one of those happens to be the Hornets that are also looking to be consistent and get to healthy.
Well, I think for the Hornets to get that team healthy, that was, remember, before the LaMelo Ball injury, the Gordon Hayward injury, they were 5th in the East, and they were on the move. They're 8th now. I'm told, Gordon Hayward is out of that walking boot. He's been out about a month, but they're in a race against time here to get Gordon Hayward back, and then losing Miles Bridges this week, who I think is a candidate for most improved player in the league. He's been terrific for Charlotte. They need both of those guys back for the playoffs, but you get that team into the play-in tournament. And listen, they're not going to win a round in the playoffs. But I think among the teams who are competing in that play-in range, I think they're the team that has a chance to still see significant improvement. Gordon Hayward was having one of his best seasons, one of his best NBA seasons this year.
And I have a few names to tell you why I disagree with LeBron James about his disdain for the play-in tournament. You just said one, LaMelo, right? Tatum and Brown, Russ and Beal. In the West, Dame, Steph, and Ja. Okay, that's a really good idea by the NBA that we're talking about the lower part of the playoff brackets because we understand we can talk about the higher part of the playoff bracket as the playoffs progress.
And Jay Rose, the one team I do not want to see in the East, I do not want to see Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. I mean, when you score 154 points in regulation, I know that Russ is going to be breaking Big O's record for most triple doubles, but also getting Daniel Gafford in the team, I thought was a huge move for them. This team, they can run. Like, so if you're comparing, would you rather see the Washington Wizards or the Golden State Warriors? I'm starting to lean with the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
When you talk about making players better, and shout to Rui Hachimura, other than Bradley Beal, who's Russ passing to again? Like,
making something out of nothing.
Correct. Like, he's been outstanding putting up numbers we just have not seen.
Yeah. And listen, the Wizards are 14-4 in their last 18 games, so obviously they're surging, and those are the kind of teams you want to see late. You want to see them in tournament situations. Yes. You want to see them in playoff situations. And shout out to Russ, just 2 triple-doubles away. We know he's going to make it, bro, at some point this season. All right, we're counting you down to tip-off between the Celtics and the Bulls. Zach LaVine, it's great to just see him back on the court. He was out for a while with health.
As I see that Bulls uniform, it reminds me of the day Jay Williams got a triple-double versus Jay Kidd in the Nets.
Come on, Zach.
I'm going to need some proof of record on that. I mean, what are they looking at right now in the current season, but also projecting forward and what the future of this franchise looks like?
Well, the Bulls would like to get into that play-in. They're not tanking. They've had injuries. They've had players in protocol. They haven't been good enough. But Arturas Karnisovas, their president, Billy Donovan, their coach, they want to evaluate players in meaningful games here at the end of the season, as they make decisions on moving forward. And listen, this summer in free agency, for Chicago, point guard is going to be at a premium for them. They've got to get a player they can build around there at that position. There's 2 free agents, Dennis Schroeder with the Lakers and Lonzo Ball, who's a restricted free agent with New Orleans, who they talked about with New Orleans at the trade deadline, couldn't get a deal done. But Dennis Schroeder, he's turned down, he's got a 4-year, $83 million deal, the max he could do with the Lakers during the season. He can get more this summer, whether that's with the Lakers or elsewhere. But I think for Schroeder, Chicago and New York, but you can expect the Bulls, they have the cap space to go out and either give an offer sheet to Ball or sign Schroeder outright. That's going to be their priority in the offseason.
And we saw Dennis Schroeder had to take on a lot of the scoring load when LeBron James was out. And during that span, he was 3rd in the NBA in touches. But let's talk about LeBron being out. He's missed 22 of the last 24 games. And obviously that ankle sprain's still an issue. He's our late game tonight. We got Trailblazers, we got Lakers. We know what's on the line there. What's the latest?
Yeah, listen, LeBron James and the Lakers are becoming resigned to the fact that he's going to have to play with discomfort for the rest of the season. They don't have time to get this ankle back to 100%. He probably came back too soon last week. He saw his team taking on losses. He wanted to come back and help, and he was unable, I was told, to really be able to explode off that ankle, to make hard cuts. He stepped away again now, missed the back-to-back games. They've got Phoenix Sunday, the Knicks Tuesday. Unclear whether he's going to come back there. But for LeBron James and the Lakers, listen, they're trying to get him as much rest as they can. But that high ankle sprain is going to continue to be an issue in the playoffs. He's probably not going to be 100%. I think there's even more of a burden now on Anthony Davis to carry a bigger load with LA.
Yeah, and we saw him going out with back spasms, was only able to play 9 minutes, but the Lakers are 9-14 without LeBron James on the court. Again, you will see the Lakers tonight at 10 Eastern against the Portland Trailblazers. Should be a good one. There will be fans in the building in Portland. All right, we're counting you down to the Celtics taking on the Bulls right here. Kemba Walker, you heard Jay Rose talking about him. 32 points on Wednesday. We'll see how many he's able to drop in Chi-Town tonight. And the